Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. Kevin Costner as Robin Hood, John Wayne as Genghis Khan, or Sofia Coppola in Godfather 3. These are some casting decisions that made people scratch their heads wondering, why? Conversely, with the right casting decisions, an average at best formulaic storyline can get launched into the stratosphere. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, 2 examples of how the right casting decisions can make for an unforgettable series or movie. Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
I want to pay homage to casting directors. There's a film that I watch over and over again for all the wrong reasons, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I do so because of the casting, and it'll all make sense when I get to that. But I want to start off with who casting agents are and how pivotal they are to the process of making motion pictures and television. When I say television, I mean everything. Cable series, streaming, etc. All right, let's just pretend we're producers and we get our movie green-lighted by a studio, a cable service, or a network. We have a budget to work within. So first thing we'll probably do is go out and get a director that shares our vision, director that will work within our budget. And then we have to go out and we have to cast this film or television program. Again, I'm just going to say television, but I mean cable and streaming, okay? Now, in television, oftentimes the producer, that's who we are in this hypothetical, sometimes we wrote the treatment for the pilot. Sometimes in motion pictures, we also wrote the script. But let's just assume, we went out and we found a writer, we pitched the script, we got it green lighted. So next thing we do is we go out and hire a director that shares our vision. Well, guess what, folks? Our next step is we have to find actors and actresses to play these roles within our budget. Listen, at any one particular time, there's just a handful of big stars available. Either they're busy or we can't afford them. Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that we have a tight budget. We can't go after those stars. Why do the stars command the money that they do? Not only in salary, but in first dollar gross. It's a term. That's basically a percentage of gross revenue of the movie. It's because they mitigate loss. They draw eyeballs right off the bat. They get films made. And you can think of many examples of who those actors are. But let's assume we're not going after that talent. How do we cast our film? How do we cast our television series? Well, we go to casting agencies. And these are groups of casting agents. Sometimes they're partnerships. Sometimes it's like an agency. It really doesn't matter. But we go to them because they're savants. They're savants of talent. They have encyclopedic knowledge of, when they read the script, of the various faces, acting talents, personalities that would fit those roles. And they begin to audition those actors and actresses for these parts. Yes, everybody out there, you have that image of these terrified actors walking into this room, casting call, and reading for a script and being cut off in mid-sentence. Thank you, that's enough. Don't call us, we'll call you. That is the business. But there are many a successful actor out there, and you can find the interviews where they'll tell you about all the casting calls they went on. And they'll tell you a story about, I went on this one casting call and I just knew I wasn't going to get the role, so I just went for it. And I gave an interpretation that was risky. And 2 years later, I got called by that casting director for the role that I won. Those things happen. So a note to young actors and actresses, it's part of the game. You got to show up every day, give it your best. And just assume that these people, these savants, these casting directors, are aware. They're aware of the process. I believe they feel your pain. They understand it. But if you give it your best every time, it won't go unnoticed. Case in point, we have an idea for a cable series. And it's about this beat up middle-aged chemistry teacher in high school. And he gets sick. And he devises a way to pay his bills. And that is by making meth. We're talking about Breaking Bad. Vince Gilligan was the writer, executive producer, and he pitched that to AMC. And it became a very popular and a very entertaining cable program. I'm going to mention some select cast members just to give you a feel for what the casting agents did to make this a success.
Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
Bryan Cranston, Walter White. He'd been kicking around for years as an actor.
So you do have a plan? Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science.
Aaron Paul. I never heard of Aaron Paul playing Jesse Pinkman until Breaking Bad. Anna Gunn, Skylar White. Dean Norris playing Hank. You know, even the son playing Walter White Jr., R.J. Mitty. And then Bob Odenkirk, you know, that guy he started off as a stand-up comedian. How the heck do you think of him for Saul, plus the spinoff? Jonathan Banks playing Mike. One of my favorites, Giancarlo Esposito.
If you try to interfere, this becomes a much simpler matter. I will kill your wife. I will kill your son. I will kill your infant daughter.
Yeah, I remember him in the 80s doing a Spike Lee film. Gus Fring, man. And then this guy, Jesse Plemons, who plays that sociopath, Todd.
We got a lot of respect for your husband. It's just something that we gotta straighten out. Okay, we know that you've been talking to the police, and that's okay. You gotta do that. But you've seen some people.
One of my favorites, a guy named Charles Baker, Skinny Pete. Mark Margolis, who played Hector Salazar, I believe is the name. David Costabile, remember he played Gale. Another cool performance was by a guy named Matt Jones playing Badger. Here's one more. Raymond Cruz playing Tuco.
Ah, tight, yeah. Blue, yellow, pink. Whatever, man, just keep bringing me that. And what did I say, man? This guy can cook.
Remember Tuco? How frightening he was? Folks, this is the alchemy of casting directors. This is just a taste. If you go in and find interviews with any of these actors, I'm sure you will find them telling tales about all the casting calls they went on, all the near misses, those calls out of nowhere that said, hey, come in and read for this role. I don't know how it works inside a casting agency, whether they're still using 4x6 cards, organized in a file with photographs. Probably it's all on a computer. It's probably going to be AI generated in the future if it isn't already. But they just know, and that's the alchemy of it. It's really a unique ability to read a script and to start thinking of faces and then putting the faces with names and then selecting the people to call in, particularly when you're working within a budget and you can't go after the big names. I just mentioned a group of actors for Breaking Bad. None of them were major stars. They became stars after Breaking Bad, yeah, but that's a perfect example of the brilliance of casting. Now I'm going to talk about a personal experience with a film that really drove this home to me. I did not pay in 2013, nor was I even aware of a movie called We're the Millers.
This is my son, Kenny Miller, and my lovely daughter, Casey.
And even if you brought it to my attention, told me who was in it, there was really no stars. I'll make a point about Jennifer in a minute. I would not have gone to it. Even if you agreed to pay for my ticket, buy me lunch or dinner, or even give me $500. I'm serious. But I've caught it when I channel surf. They rerun it a lot. And every time they run this, I can't keep my eyes off it. I cannot keep my eyes off it. And I've asked myself the question, Jonathan, why are you watching this movie? You know, you have this history, this love affair with movies going back, you know, to the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. This is not within your normal realm of interest. And it finally came clear to me. It was the casting. Let me give you the pitch. Remember, we're producers, and we're going to pitch this idea to a studio. Hey, we've got this script, studio boss, and it's about these losers. One's a stripper, one's a pot dealer, one's a latchkey loser kid, the other one's a girl on the streets. They are going to be hired to take an RV down to Mexico to pick up some pot and to bring it back across the border.
I have a smidge of marijuana down in Mexico. Bring it back here by Sunday night. I will pay you $100,000.
It was way out of my league.
You don't have a choice.
You know, I've got to tell you, if I heard that, I think I'd say thanks, but no thanks. But it did get green-lighted. It's a comedy. You know, I talk a lot about writers, and this was written by 4 writers. And when you write for comedy, you know, movies or late-night comedy programs, it's a team effort. And it's a great experience because you're in a room and you're throwing out ideas and you feed off of each other. Even if you team up on a romance or a drama with a writer, you know, that team effort will generate ideas that can sometimes be really, really good. But in comedy, it's usually a team effort. And that's what this was. But there was no big name director attached to this film. Budget was $37 million, according to what I found. I don't know if that's right or wrong. 2013, that was a lot of money. I'm surprised the budget was that high, quite frankly. According to what I saw, you know, it's made about $270 million. So what's that, 8 times, something like that? You know, it's a highly profitable movie. But that's the concept. So we pitched it, we got the green light, we got a director, now we got to go cast it. Here's what they came up with.
What do you want?
How would you like to spend 4th of July weekend making 10 grand?
What?
All right, Rose, listen. All I'm asking is that you go to Mexico with me this weekend. All right? And then you and me, we drive home together in an RV.
Mm-hmm.
And that RV has a little bit of pot in it.
Drug dealing?
No, it's not drug dealing. It's not. No, it's smuggling.
Are you out of your mind?
Look, Rose, $10,000 and your flight's already paid for.
You can't buy me.
I'm not buying you, all right? I'm renting you.
Oh.
Like Pretty Woman.
Jennifer Aniston. Did I watch Friends? No, I did not. Her filmography, if you look at it, you know, she goes back to the late 80s. She did a lot of films, no-name films. So when I look at her filmography and I look at We're the Millers, this was like a big break as far as film for her. And she pulls it off.
I seen a rainbow yesterday, but too many storms have come and gone, leaving a trace of not what God given me. Is it because my life in 10 shades of gray? I pray all 10 fade away, seldom facing for the sunny day.
There's a kid named Will Poulter. I didn't know who he was. I never saw him in my life. Plays Kenny.
Okay, what are we doing today?
Yeah, I say, give me some that says I get up every morning at 5:30 and commute for an hour and a half to some job. Where my boss expects me to kisses all day just so I can afford to keep my ungrateful screaming kids decked out and Dora the Explorer and my wife up to her fat ass in self-help videos until the day I get up the courage to put a shotgun in my mouth. Right here. Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Jason Sudeikis. I've seen him in some comedies here and there, but he played David. Emma Roberts played Casey. Ed Helms, I think I've seen him around, but, didn't know much about him. He played this guy named Brad, who's the big drug pusher who hires this collection of misfits, losers, to pose as a family in an RV to bring back this pot across the border. Nick Offerman, I never saw or heard from him. He played Don Fitzgerald, the DEA guy. Catherine Hahn played Edie, his wife. And then there's this actor. Remember I talked about Skinny Pete in Breaking Bad? That's a juicy role, if you remember that character, skinny guy. There was one of the episodes he actually played the piano, classical piano. It's because he actually knows how to play the piano. That's really casting.
What's up, dog?
Not much, dog. What's up with you?
I'm here to pick up Casey, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying. What's your name, man?
Scotty P, you know what I'm saying?
Again, I do know what you're saying, but I appreciate you continuing to check in with me on that.
So, Scotty P, what exactly do you do for a living?
Oh, Mom!
I work for A&J Amusements. I'm rocking that monkey maze, you know what I'm saying?
What the hell is the monkey maze?
It's like a terrifying death trap, but for little kids.
You're working at the fair. You're a carny.
Nah, I drive a motorcycle.
But this guy, Mark L. Young, who played Scotty P., he was a tatted-up kid working in the carny. You remember the character? That is really down in the weeds casting. So Scotty P. and Skinny Pete, those are really great examples of damn good casting. So why does this film attract me? It's not the script. Honestly, the storyline doesn't do it for me. It's not the directing. This film doesn't need great directing. But what it represents is a casting director's brilliance to not only select actors to fit the roles, but actors that will meld with each other. All of us have heard about actors not getting along on the set, and I can do this from a historical perspective, going back to the 40s and the 30s, really. Temper tantrums and this, that, and the other thing. No, this film worked because not only were the roles brilliantly cast, but because these actors melded together. And that's the alchemy of the casting director. This group of misfits, the film is about their transformation of people from different backgrounds that really didn't know each other, didn't like each other. And in this course of going down to Mexico and coming back with the pot, grow into a family. And it's really miraculous to watch because when I watch this film over and over again, it's that transformation, it's the interchange, it's the likability of all the characters, it's the vulnerability of the characters, which really strikes me. And if you think you don't understand what I'm talking about, this vibe between the actors on set who have to show up and read their lines and pretend to be a wife, pretend to be a brother or a sister. If you don't understand that, stick around for the end of the movie when they include a blooper. And it's a little trick they play on Jennifer. It's really, really cute. If you want some more evidence of the importance of casting directors, particularly in film, I suggest you go into the Motion Picture Academy of Arts and Sciences, that is the Oscars, and go in and look at the nominees and the winners for Best Supporting Actor and Actress for every year from 2023 going back. And chances are, more often than not, you're going to see a name that may not be that familiar who won Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress. One particular example, when you go back and you look at that list, is Three Billboards, that 2017 movie. Look at Sam Rockwell.
Mrs. Hayes, have a seat. What is it I can do for you today?
Where's Denise Watson?
Denise Watson's in the clank.
On what charge?
Possession.
Of what?
2 marijuana cigarettes. Big ones.
When's the bail hearing?
I asked the judge not to give her bail on account of her previous marijuana violations, and the judge said sure.
You prick.
You do not call an officer of law a prick in his own station house, Mrs. Hayes. Or anywhere, actually.
What's with the new attitude, Dixon? Your mama been coaching you?
No. My mama doesn't do that.
I never knew Sam Rockwell. Yeah, he was out there making films, showing up, getting it done. But he got cast. He read for this film. This was not a big budget film. And guess what? He got Best Supporting Actor. And that was because of the work, because of the alchemy, the vision of casting directors. Now, it's very interesting. Casting directors do not compete for Oscars. No. They're members of the CSA, Casting Society of America, so they have their own awards. And in this group of casting directors, I'll just name them out to you: Lisa Beach, Sarah Katzman, Lisa Fincannon, Jeremy Gordon, Beth Lipari, and I think it's Danny Salerno. They were nominated in 2015 for this Casting Society of America Award. Listen, it is time, Motion Picture Academy of Arts and Sciences, to include casting directors in your awards. They're just too pivotal, too important of a group of necessary talent in motion pictures not to be a member of that prestigious fraternity. And I hope in the years to come, you'll come to realize that. You know, there's a scene with Jennifer Aniston in We're the Millers where she does a dance, a pole dance. And it's very seductive, and she looks wonderful, and she does a really wonderful job. And I was thinking about Marissa Tomei. She played a stripper in the 2008 film The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
I'm here. I'm really here. What do you call that?
You know, Marissa Tomei, I think at that point, I think she was in her 40s. The Wrestler was a small budget film. Casting director had her on the list. She read for it, and she stepped up. And man, if you watch that film, Marissa just brought it like Jennifer did. So note to young people looking to break into the film business, I strongly suggest you approach casting directors for internships. You know, do whatever, hang around, offer to take out the trash, to get coffee, do whatever. But you're going to be in the belly of the beast in a good way. You're going to be in the heart that's beating, that necessary blood that flows through the body to get the talent in front of the camera, that's going to be directed by the director, that's going to sell tickets. You're going to be in a really, really important part of motion pictures and television. So, in summary, respect the casting director. When you look at the credits, stick around and see who the casting directors are. You're going to see a lot of familiar names. But start to include them along with the director, the editor, the cinematographer, the producers, sound editors, and the like. And one last final time, let's hope the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences will include casting directors in the Academy Award show, because they deserve it. And you know something? If it's your 100th audition and you're about ready to throw in the towel, don't. Because it could be that 101th casting call you're on that just maybe a year later, 2 years later, will result in that casting agent remembering who you were, because that day you brought it and you get that call. Until I see you next time, leave behind a soft footprint, and class is dismissed.
And unlike Jonathan, I did watch Friends. Every Thursday, every single episode, often twice or more. So to see Jennifer Aniston in this movie, to really see her, if you know what I mean, didn't suck. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's writing at the Jonathan B. Farini Story Collection at jonathanfarini.com. There you'll find everything from drama to romance, something for every reader, including his 2-part short story, The Carney Contessa, in which a writer impacted by the writer's strike gets working on a new chapter of his life. That's jonathanferrini.com, Ferrini with 2 R's, 1 N. Or drop an email to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.